Still loading.
Oh.
Hello, everybody. I think we're officially live now.
Oh.
I'm so happy to have you all. I'm here with Cathrin. My name is Noelia, and today, like I said, we have Cathrin, and she will be teaching us how to paint florals with a wet-on-wet technique. And I won't dive in too much in it. I'll let Cathrin explain more about it. But before we officially get started, I just wanted to let you know that if you have any questions, please feel free to type them in the chat and write question in caps, and we will be taking your question. Give me 1 second. I am getting some feedback of myself, hearing myself double. Anya is lurking in the dark in the background. So Anya, if you can pop in and help me out a little bit.
Hello, hello. I'm here just in case, and always happy to just chime in and say hi. Noelia, maybe it's inside the YouTube studio. Sometimes it starts playing, so that might be yourself listening to yourself in a conundrum because YouTube is awesome. While we're here, I also want to, while Noelia is fixing that out, I also want to let you guys know that we have a very short feedback form that we will be linking to you at the beginning and at the end. If you guys can take 45 seconds, I timed it, 45 seconds to just answer it super quickly. We have like 3 questions, just so you let us know what you think of the live demo today and how we can improve it. If you have any thoughts, it's a rate us from 0 to 5, so it's really quick and free text form. That would be awesome. Noelia, want to take over or still need any help?
Awesome. Yep. I've got it all figured out. So I will be sharing the link for the live demo feedback survey. But other than that, feel free to pop in the chat, say hello, where you're from, and I will hand it over to you, Cathrin, to start with a sketchbook flip, if you don't mind.
Yeah, okay. So thanks for having me. I just wanted to say a couple of words about me. People might not know me. So my name is Catherin Gressieker. That's difficult to pronounce, and I'm here in my studio, and I live in Germany, and I'm a floral artist and textile designer, and I'm specializing in florals. So today we're going to do the wet-on-wet technique. I don't know whether you've heard about it. So usually you have like the watercolor paper and it's dry, and then you take your watercolor, your wet medium, and paint on it. That's the wet on dry technique. But the wet on wet technique is that you wet the paper first, so it's soaked with water, and then you paint on top with your paint, with your watercolor, and this creates like a dreamy and floating and like behind glass effect. And I would like to show you some of my artwork, so to have an impression what we are gonna do today. So I have a couple of sketchbooks here. These are the sketchbooks from this year. I did a 100-day project where I painted florals every day, and I filled these sketchbooks, and some of them are in the wet on wet technique. So here's one. So usually they are portrait mode, but I'm gonna show it like this. So as you might see, these are pansies, and you get all those color bleeds, and it's quite an unpredictable technique, but also very rewarding, and lots of space for experimentation and just trying things. I like pink, so you will see a lot of pink in my artwork. So this is one sketchbook, and then I went through a wet on wet phase in this sketchbook. So there's roses, which we're gonna do today also. So you see here all those like marks that run out. This is very typical of the technique. And here is poppies, a little bit of color therapy. I don't know where you live, but here it's been a great December day. So there's more poppies and also blue poppies. I painting poppies. So we'll be painting poppies today. Also, we're going to be painting roses and poppies. So this is this sketchbook. And then I did some test paintings in the Etchr sketchbook just to try the paper out. And here we have roses and some more roses. And the interesting thing is I painted these before, and you never get the same result, but it's normal, but even more with a wet on wet. So this would be like the same here on the left from the same photo reference. You have this here, and here you also have something that looks like this. And then I also have like iris, if you want to see iris. It's quite dramatic. So this is one. Let's go through the sketchbook some more.
Those are beautiful, Cathrin.
Thank you. As you might see, I love bright, vivid colors. So there's some more. There's poppies also. And some more poppies. And this is just painted from a bouquet I had in my studio, similar to the one that's standing there. And some peonies. And then we're coming to the page I prepared for you this morning because I decided let's do something fresh. So this is my test page for the roses we're going to paint. And if we have time, we also can do some poppies. And it's the wet on wet technique. And if we have time and it dries fast enough, then you can also add details on top if you want to. So that's what we're going to do today.
Awesome. Thank
Any
you.
questions?
So,
Or are we just...
Before I let you dive in, I just wanted to tell everyone in the chat to please share this live demo link that's happening right now with your artist friends so that they can join us, and remind you all that if you have a question, type question in all caps followed by your question, and I will be asking them to Cathrin. If it's relevant to what she's doing, I'll ask it right now, but if not, I'll save it for a Q&A at the end. Okie doke. And Cathrin, by the way, there's people already complimenting your roses.
Oh, thank you, guys.
So
I'm really glad you like them. And you can paint some too, you know, Christmas just around the corner, maybe some artwork, some postcards, or just something to hang on the wall for your friends or family, or just color therapy for yourself.
Yeah. So would you be ready to get started?
Yeah, so let's start.
I'm excited.
Fresh page here. I better put like a clip here. So good. And we're starting with the roses. And I'm using a reference photo from this book here. It's Vintage Roses, and it's actually right the one here on top, but I also have it in the book. So that's the variety of roses called Queen of Sweden. And yeah, it's quite good because you have like roses from different angles and in different stages of their bloom, and you have some foliage. That's always nice to have. And then there's lots of room for experimentation. I think, Noelia, you took a screenshot of that. So
yep, and I sent the link of the picture in the chat. Okay,
so I'll just put it to the side. Okay, so wet on wet. We have to wet the page. Okay, I'm taking a big brush, a quill brush, but you can take any brush that takes lots of water. So maybe you have something like this around, or just any big brush, and then you just dip it in the water. So I have 2 containers of water. I'm just going to show you nothing special, just 2 containers. And I try to have one with the fresh water and one for washing out my brushes. So I always have clean water for the technique. Good. Then you wet the page. So you try to do it evenly. You can just look a bit from the side and see if there are areas that are not wet yet. And yeah, you can dive right in or just wait a moment. With the wet on wet technique, it's lots about timing and right timing, but you cannot really control it. So I'll grab some paints here. I have some liquid watercolor. So I just put it into the palette, some pink I will be using. And I think also some, first happy accident is here, but I don't mind. some yellow. And some ice pink. Could be nice. And
Cathrin, do you ever use a spray bottle to wet the paper?
Good idea, but I have not tried. I don't know whether you get the even effect then, because well, maybe try it next time. Good idea. Have you tried it?
I have used a spray bottle before, but I've noticed it depends on the nozzle of the spray bottle, how even it sprays the water on the paper.
I have one. I have one in my studio. Let's try it. We can try it with the next one. Yeah, I have one at hand. So let's do it with the next page just for fun. Okay. So now comes the big moment. Yeah, I'll just take some pink and start, and you see how this already starts bleeding here and moving around. Some yellow maybe here to make it more interesting. And yeah, just try and have fun. So I'm looking like loosely at the reference picture, but also trying to capture like the light. There are leaves or petals that are more in the light, and there's variation in them. So I do this with color.
So what you're basically doing is dropping lines of color?
Yes, I do lines, but I also, like here, I use the side of the brush.
Gotcha.
Like here for a petal, you could also use the light of the side of the brush. So I think just try what works best. But as it's spreading so fast, like little lines is already kind of enough. So I'll try another one here. So it's like the center is a little bit darker. And then now I'm using the side for the petals here. And some here. And then again, the side here. Yes. Hair from the brush. So you see, so like every person has their own way of how they hold a brush and how they apply paint. So just do as it comes naturally for you. Got maybe some yellow here. And then maybe later on we can also add some details then. So this is just the first layer. So let's tuck one in here in the back, make it a little bit darker.
I am impressed by how fast you're moving with this.
Yes, I'm quite a fast painter. So I was really worried a little bit about it when I just started my test painting. I thought, oh my God, and this is quite slow. Actually, I'm even faster. So I'm just, it's like, I call it like the butterfly style. I just dance around the page and I try to paint faster than I can think. So I don't overthink it. So, but everybody can work in their own pace. I'm just a very fast person, and there's no right and no wrong. So just try, but you have to be a little bit fast with this technique because it dries. Okay, then we have this flower here. 1, 2, 3. Maybe add some greenery. So as you can see, there is also foliage here in the picture. So maybe some stems because they're growing and living things. And there will be color bleeds, I know that, but I don't mind.
It's very spontaneous how you
It is.
apply each stroke.
So I'm not used to somebody watching me, but thank you for your observations.
Quick question. What kind of liquid watercolors are you using?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I used the Dr. P.H. Martin's radiant concentrated watercolor. So I also have like regular watercolor paint in tubes and in pans, but this, as you might see, gives you quite a strong radiancy. So I've not seen this vivid color in any other paint. So I use these, and you just need like a little drop, and it goes a very long way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'm looking just really loosely only at the reference picture, and just let the painting guide me. Maybe we just do like a bud here. It's always nice to have flowers in different stages of their growth.
And do you clean your brush between each color every time?
Yeah, I try. So I have like this one container where I clean it, and then I have the other one that is with the clean water, where I try to just to put the clean brush after that, so it stays clean. But sometimes there's some pigment left on the brush, but that's okay. You can have nice color mixing. I don't mind this. I'm all about happy accidents and painting. Okay, very much about this spontaneous painting. Good. So nearly done. See how fast. First Christmas present, check, done. We can just add some more details. I'm just dropping some yellow here. And yeah, later on we can just add some more. Okay, we just let this dry, I think, for a while, and come back later to that one. And just put this reference picture away for a while. And let's do the poppies, you know. That's, I think you also have a screenshot of that for them, for the guys watching. Good. Oh, sorry about that. So how are we gonna do this now? Because I have to move the sketchbook, and then I have my reference. That it won't get wet. Okay. I'll put my reference next to me, so it comes here. Just trying to make the best of it. Okay, so poppies, a little bit of a different flower because they have these paper-like petals and this veining a little bit, and but they're really fun to paint. But there you can use more the side of the brush. So I'm starting like with one here, a little bit of, oh, I have not wet the page.
I was about to ask, is this not wet?
Oh, yeah. Okay, now we're doing it with the spray bottle. You asked, I have one at hand. This was not planned, but a good artist has everything. Huh? So let's see. But I think it has lots of drips on it. So, and we need like an even surface. So I think I'm gonna smooth this out. Good. That's quite wet now. Finally.
And you get it very wet, don't you? To where the paper is very shiny. You get your paper very wet to where it looks quite shiny.
Yeah. So some people let it like soak in a little bit more. So you just have to try how much bleeding you want, and It's just personal preference and lots of experimentation. So let's see how this will react. And I'm starting with the middle of a poppy. So it will be a little bit of dipping and dashing, and then there's some green inside. Okay, cleaning my brush. And, you know, I clean my brush and then I usually also dab it on tissue. Here's my, where is it? Here, tissue that in between. Actually, it's a toilet roll, not very, not very fancy, but it has flowers on it, and it's, you can just tear off paper. So I find this works best for me. So I dab it, and okay, let's take some red, and then you can just, you know, with the side of the brush, add some of these petals. Maybe also some of these, as they have these veins here. Try something like this. Well, some orange would be nice. Where's orange here? Okay.
Beautiful.
It's okay. Nearly visible or readable as a poppy. And let's do another one up here.
So how do you go about composing your painting design?
How I know about it? So I think it's lots of practice. And then I've also taken a couple of good courses. So I don't want to go into too much advertising, but I've just taken like a 12-week course with another floral artist, and it's called Complete Compositions in Floral Design. And there she taught us lots of secrets. And I can tell you all the secrets, but some are like that you want like flowers from different angles, you know, one faces that direction, one that direction. Then you want it uneven numbers, like 3 or 5 or 7, that looks good. You want foliage a little bit, you know, so it's not floating around. So some of these things, it's good to know, and then maybe also forget about it again, know the rules and then break them. But some basic understanding is good. And if you, like in the reference photos, they are often by like those botanical artists who make all those bouquets, and they did the work for you. So you see, you have the big flowers, you have the smaller flowers, you have filler flowers, you have greenery, and this also is also very good as reference because you see the composition. And then it's of course personal preference, and see what you like to paint and how it looks like, and wait for this inner click to happen. Oh yeah, that looks good. So it's also lots of intuition. I think after a while you have like a feeling for your painting. That's it's for me like this. I like it to be spontaneous, and I like to have like freedom and intuition working here, and happy accidents also.
Right.
Okay, so this could use a little bit more color. And then let's do like a yellow one up here. I need some more orange. So, yeah. So as I go, I just grab colors, and sometimes I know which color palette I want to use, and then it just happens and changes during painting. But usually it's quite bright and vivid. Okay, so this, you see, this might not be too good that there's this line. So need to break this up a little bit. And also this is quite thick, but we can just add some here and there.
So you don't really follow your reference exactly as how you see
No,
it.
no. This is just for general inspiration and for the mood of a painting. And even if it's like very loose like this, I always need a photo reference. So I can't paint just like this, because even if it's just for an abstract painting of flowers, I always look at something in front of me. So it will never look like the photo. Nobody will ever know that I used that photo for that, but I need something to look at, because I think, at least my brain is like this. Your brain thinks it knows how a flower looks, but if you look at a photo, there are like real flowers, you see, okay, there's different angles, the light is different, the color is different, so it makes it look more alive. That's what I think.
Yes, yes. No, I totally agree with that. I use references all the time. It helps me just make sure I know exactly how an apple looks, because if I'm not looking at an apple and I paint an apple, it sometimes doesn't look quite like an apple.
Okay, also let's do like one yellow maybe here that also has some green, like very light. So sometimes I grab like a flower from that side of the reference photo and put it there. So I just go with the flow. That's yeah. With this technique, you have no other chance anyway. And let's also do a bulb here, because they have often these bulbs. Good, good. And maybe also here.
Since you've painted a lot of these florals, do you find the different types of watercolors do not bleed as much as others?
Like the brands, or what do you mean?
Different paints.
I think, yeah, brands differ. And of course also the paper differs. If you they take the cold press or the hot press paper, there's also a big difference how it reacts.
Right.
Okay. Good. So maybe add some more here. Good. And then, yeah, I wanted to show you something. As it's still wet, we can also try and add a background to this. I also did this with my painting I did this morning. So it's still wet, and I'm just grabbing a bit of turquoise here and also adding it. And some areas will already be quite dry, and others might be reacting with what I've already painted, but I wanted to give it this really summer feel with a turquoise sky. So, but you see, everything is already quite dry here, but you can always re-wet it also. Let's do this. And then drop some.
Drop some color in.
Yeah, drop some color in. I'll just add some background for interest. So this can also be done if you want to try adding a background. But you see how fast it dries. So everything, even though it was so wet, now it's dry and there's no floating, no bleeding effect anymore. So I just paint the color in here. Okay. Good. So you could leave this like this, of course, but you can always come back to it and add some details. And I don't know about our roses. Maybe they're a bit dry now. So we can try and add some details to them. Or are there any questions at this point? I think I'm gonna have some water.
If you have any tips on how to not be scared of that blank page and start your composition and with what strokes to start, I think that would be really helpful.
Oh, how to start? The big question. So, so I have like a daily painting practice. So I've been painting daily like for 3 years nearly now. So there's no questioning. I get up in the morning, I have a cup of coffee and I start painting, whatever. So coffee helps me, not also the inner critic is quite silent at 5 a.m. in the mornings for me. So I just start. And every time I paint, like every time, the first brush stroke, I think, oh no, this is never going to work out. Like nearly with every painting, I start, I think, no, this time, no, this is not going to work. And then I still continue. And in the end, always something comes out, even if it's not that good that day. But you did something and you trained your creative muscle and yeah, just do it.
Yeah.
So if this could be like a tip, or if you like, what also helps to get out of your mind is maybe put on music if you really like techno, pop music, classical music, because this also helps to quiet the inner critic in your mind and just helps you to get into the mood and into the zone and don't have so many high expectations of yourself and enjoy it. Mm. Okay.
And
Let's see.
question from the chat. Have the 3 years that you've been painting, has it been flowers every day?
Oh, sorry about that. Yes, actually, I've been like a textile designer for 7 years now, and I paint a lot for being a textile designer, but on and off when there were like briefs and work to do and on holiday. And I started like 3 years ago, I started painting daily, and it was like my 100-day project 3 years ago was 100 days of flowers. So I did flowers and watercolor on the iPad digitally. So it was flowers. And last year I had it a 100-day project where I painted in the Chinese brush painting technique. I don't know if you know it. You paint on rice paper and you have special brushes, and that was just very relaxing for me because I just painted along to YouTube videos of Chinese masters, because in the Chinese painting school you have to copy for years before you can be a master yourself. So I learned a lot about this, and then this year I had like the under 100-day, the other 100-day project where I painted flowers. But for 3 years continuously it's been mostly flowers, and this year actually only flowers, only if my textile agent says, okay, let's make an animal print or something else. Then of course for a brief I still do something else, but for myself it's all flowers.
Wow, that's amazing.
Okay, so I
what would be your next step now that your initial roses have dried out a little bit now?
Yeah, so I think we can just add a little bit of detail maybe. So you can leave it like this, but I think like I did with the other one, I can show you. Here, similar composition. I added some like marks on top to give it a bit more definition, somewhat dry leaves. So we can also try this. And just take a darker color. Maybe let's have to try find the right one. No, maybe that. And then the center is here, and I'll just do these very loose strokes that might indicate that this is here, the center. So also nothing too complicated. And maybe also light is falling here.
Your brush isn't as wet anymore, is it?
It is. It's not as wet. It's true. It's more pigment than water on it now. So you can, if you want to do some of these little brush strokes, just to give it a bit more definition. This can be done, but it does not have to be done. So it's although also okay to leave it just as is. It's also a nice effect to have these marks, but it can be also good to add something on top to make it more interesting. You see, and you have these ghostly marks in the background, and also some more defined leaves on top. This can kind of quite interesting, this contrast, if you do this.
Yeah. I think it's also adding more depth and dimension to it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So as you like, as you please, it's your painting. You can make whatever you want. You see, it's already looking more like a rose, if you want that. But the dreamy effect is also something, if you maybe have seen bedding or like girls wear, they use this technique, and it can look very good on textiles, because I always think of, or often think of textiles when I do my paintings.
Right.
As most of my artwork will end up in textile designs.
And a comment from the chat, Chris says, absolutely wonderful. They love the wet on wet quickness and letting the paint flow. And they thank you for your tips about the about just painting wet on wet.
Thanks, guys. I'm happy you like it, because this is really a fun technique, and it is simple, but it's not very easy because it's so unpredictable. And if you're somebody who likes controlling things, maybe it's a good exercise on letting go. So thanks for having me. And as I love painting so much and flowers, so I'm always happy to share and inspire, because I have also learned this from somebody, and now it's give back time for me.
Yeah.
And I'm learning so much every day still. So like this week, I experimented a lot with masking fluid and watercolor, and this also had very new and interesting results for me. Okay, let's go to this flower here. So it also has some inner life here.
Wow. And just for everyone to know, if you are really enjoying what Cathrin is doing now, she will actually be teaching a mini workshop with us on December 18th, which is a Friday. And she will be sharing with us how to paint roses with 10 brush strokes. So I will be sending the link for you to sign up for that workshop in the chat, and it's only $5.50.
Yeah, that's
Plus,
what I'm gonna do.
I'm just hijacking. I cannot stay quiet. Guys, hey, it's Sonia here. Also, yeah, $5.50, and you get a $10 voucher right back to use on our Etchr art supply store. So you spend $5, you get 10.
Awesome. Thanks, Anya.
So it will be roses also in the mini workshop, but then it won't be in the wet on wet technique. Maybe two if we have time, but more practice this loose painting style, and maybe also this getting out of your head and just don't have this fear of the blank page. I can show you. I have like a test page. So all these roses were painted in 10 brush strokes, and this is something we are gonna do in the mini workshop.
Awesome.
Ad is over. So let's go on. So some center here. I still like the bleeding effect here. Maybe just give it a little bit more definition. And yeah, sometimes they also have these bits here sticking out. actually quite an experience painting and talking at the same time, because this is like my morning meditation. When the house is quiet, I sit here in early morning and paint, and now talking. But I think the muse is with me still and helps me paint this painting. Okay, I would call this done for the moment.
Okay.
With some details on top, still very loose, but a little bit more depth. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Shall we proceed to the poppies?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Good. Then I'm gonna change again my reference books, because I always need them, even if it's so abstracted.
And quick question, are you using hot press or cold press paper today?
Today, I think this is the Etchr sketchbook, and I think it's cold press because it has this very grainy texture. I think it's cold press.
Yeah.
And I think it takes more water than the hot press paper.
Yeah, that's what I found too by experimenting with my own paintings, is that cold press absorbs more water and stays wet longer.
Yeah, so it's a bit softer with the hot press, and usually I prefer the cold press paper, but I have all kinds of papers and whatever I find in the morning, so tired, just take anything. And even if you look, my sketchbooks in the beginnings, these weren't on watercolor paper. This was just some kind of regular drawing paper, and still the technique worked. So maybe different papers give you different results, but this paper is really beautiful for this. Okay, so poppies, here we go. Let's add some of these veins here. It's can be quite nice as they look like this. Maybe not everywhere, but yeah, it's always nice to add these things not all over, just to some areas to give it variation, and because the light falls like differently, and it's more shading on one side, more light on the other side. And just trying here. Okay. So these parts could use a little bit definition too. Not too much.
And you're just looking at the reference to see where you can add.
Actually, for
detail?
this, I just made it up now. I just now I have the reference here, but I also kind of made it up because you see this here in the reference picture. They are closed, the buds.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I like if there's some color popping out. So this was also invented here. And I see there's some bleeding I don't want. So I just dab the paper here. So I'm quite happy with accidents, but some I don't want.
Right.
Okay. Good. So yeah, for example, here this yellow one, just a bit of definition. So it looks like like a little bit of a dream, this technique, and a little bit romantic. And I hope you guys try it.
Yeah.
Anyone is painting along here today, or do people paint along, or do they just watch?
I know we have quite a few people painting along, but let us know in the chat if you're painting along. And by the way, we would love to see your work later on, or while you're painting. Now, if you want to take a shot of your setup with YouTube in the background, or even of your final painting and share it on social media, tag us with the hashtag Etchr Mini Workshop, And that actually signs you up for our monthly giveaway. So we would love to see your work.
Yeah, I would love to see the wet on wet technique, what you guys come up with. Okay, so add some more definition. You see, like this is bleeding, this is not perfect, but it's interesting. So you can't control everything with this technique, but it's fine. And you learn something new with every painting you make. And actually these poppies have this little jagged edges.
And is that just foliage that you're adding now?
This is foliage, yeah, these, because it's not in the picture, but maybe you've seen they have this jagged edges, the leaves of the poppies. So they're quite different from rose leaves. Do I have like a picture here of the leaves? Oh, not really. No, not so nice in the photo here. But I think if you Google it, you will see that they have very special leaves. And these were made up. These are more like fantasy leaves, but that's allowed. It's your painting. You can do what you want. Have fun. Don't take it so seriously. It's just paint, water, pigment. And hope you're having fun with that.
I think that just adds to what watercolor in general, though, because water will do what it wants to do, and the pigment will follow. And
yeah, that's the beauty of watercolor. And you don't get these results with any other medium. Okay, I also paint with gouache and acrylics, and they all have their strength and their weaknesses. But this magic of watercolor, that's only watercolor, you know, and it adds, like, you get something for free. So you paint and you get something else. So like a little gift, you know? Because with gouache and acrylic, you get what you paint. Right. And watercolor, extra gifts. Isn't that great before Christmas? So that's yeah, so it's the fluidity of the watercolor, and I think it also has a very like an airy element to it, because it dries, and it always reminds me also of air. Yeah. And lightness, because the water evaporates and then it becomes this very beautiful light thing full of lightness. Okay, now I've said light a couple of times. So, but I think you know what I mean. Good. You can just go on and paint more and more, but you can also say, call it a day for the moment. I think you can see that these are poppies. Yeah. Even though they're very loose, and even they don't even have to look like poppies, you know, flowers. Sometimes I just paint some blobs, and still the mind reads them as flowers. That's how our mind works. And sometimes it's more interesting if the mind has to work a little bit and not to see things like a photograph or something.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Oh, good.
Awesome. It looks beautiful. And we have people in the chat saying they've already signed up for your mini workshop coming up on December 18th.
Thank you, guys. That's so lovely to hear. So I'm so looking forward to spending more time with Florals and you, and painting and explaining some more in depth also. Yeah. And if you have any more suggestions, just let me know. I don't know if there's space here for advertising, Instagram and stuff, but you can just find me, take my name and you can find me on Instagram and write me. I always answer all the questions. And if you have like questions or inspirations, or you would like anything covered, I can try and help you.
Awesome. Thank you, Cathrin. So I'm going to switch to a quick gallery view so that we can see you and ask you a few more questions if you don't mind from the chat.
No, I'd love to answer your questions.
Awesome. So question about your illustration for fabric. When you upload for fabric design, do you scan to Illustrator first before uploading the design to the market?
So I scan everything in 300 dpi, just into my scanner in my computer. And then for this painted things, I usually work in Photoshop, because you have to remove the background, the white background. This takes some time, and then you have to put it into a repeat, because you need like it has to repeat like endlessly if you print it on fabric. So of course, if you just want it on a cushion or something, then you can do a placement print. But like on clothing, it has to be like endlessly repeatable. So and then you also have to know how to do a repeat and to make it a little bit interesting. So you can just take some parts here and then turn it around, add some here, just make it smaller. And then you have the repeat, and this you can sell to clients or give to your textile agents or upload any way you would like.
Gotcha.
So, but I think some places they don't need repeats, but all my art gets into a repeat, needs to be repeated. Awesome. That's a whole other thing. This is the fun part, the painting. So I also enjoy the design part a lot if the design comes together, because it's also magical. I don't like the scanning and the removing of the background. This pixel removing thing can take hours, but it's also part of being a textile designer. If you have music with this or a podcast, so you'll find a way around it. But everything is for this in Photoshop. Okay, you could put an Illustrator and image trace it, but then it would be a totally different result. You use a lot of this watercolor magic, I would say, but it can also be interesting. It would look more stylized. You can change colors, but for watercolor, the go-to program is Photoshop.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Thank you. Another question. What was the reference book that you are using?
Yes, I had two books. Where is for the roses? It's this book, Vintage Roses, by, I don't know how to pronounce her name, Jane Eastjo or something like this. And there's lots of beautiful reference pictures of roses and a little bit of information about them and the names, so you can learn about flowers. They're not only beautiful, they also, cultural history and where they come from, because everything originated from one rose, one Chinese rose, and then it was just cultivated, and now we have all these beautiful varieties of roses.
Yeah.
So this is one book. Oh, I have so many books about flowers. Too many books, like my husband says, but you can't have too many books, and you can't have too many art supplies. It's just not possible. You need this as an artist. So the other book is the flower recipe book for the poppies, and it's flowers by in alphabetical order. And you can always have like the flower, a little bit of information, and then there's different arrangements and bouquets. So if you want to know about composition, that's also very good, and you also learn about the flowers. So that's also a very worthwhile book getting. Yeah. And more marketing and advertising here, but I think that's okay. If people ask, so it's a good book too.
Another quick question. Did you design the pattern on your shirt?
No, that's a dress.
Ah, there you go.
big dress, and it's made in India. But and I bought it in Georgia, in the former U.S. Soviet Union, at a street stall when traveling was still possible. But I didn't design it myself, but I thought I could have, you know. So I tried to dress like my art, especially for you.
Yeah, no, it adds to the beautiful bright colors and your spontaneous florals. I love it.
Thank you, thank you.
And one last question that I have is the paper that you used for the sketches that you showed us at the beginning through your sketchbook. Is that paper similar to the Etchr paper that you have?
Like in my sketchbooks, I can show you. So the Etchr sketchbook is very thick, high quality watercolor painting paper I find, and the other one is really just a cheap sketchbook. I don't know how much. It didn't cost me 12 or 15 euro. I don't even know. And the pages are much thinner, but still there's a little bit of texture on it, but it's not explicitly said. It's not for watercolor, but it still works. It is a German brand, just a cheap sketchbook. So, but you can work on all the techniques of this. You know, poppies are always a favorite of mine, and peonies, of course. And yeah, this also helped me to overcome the fear of the page, because it was a cheap sketchbook and I just turned the page and I paint every day. And some days are good, some days not so, but just keep painting. So right. Sometimes if the paper is so expensive, this can also hold you back. God, this has to become a beautiful painting. And if it's just a cheap sketchbook, this can help. Not saying that you should not have good art supplies. So try to get the best quality you can have of watercolor and paper. So it also shows in your art, I think. Right. But try. Sometimes cheap stuff can look really good, and the more expensive stuff doesn't have to be so good.
Yeah. Thank you. That's, I think, amazing advice. Just experiment, keep painting every day, try something new, try to get over that fear of the white blank page and just go for it.
Yeah, and I think the wet on wet technique helps you with this, maybe this fear, because you put wet water first and then you just start, and it helps you, you know. So the watercolor, it helps you to overcome this fear, and you can just do like a loose beginning, and then like we did, like some finishing touches on top, and see where this leads.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. Can we get a shot of your paintings again, just to end with that?
Oh, so both, or just the roses one?
Both, or just both. One.
Okay, this was one. This was the our poppies, and these are the roses.
Awesome. They look beautiful, Cathrin. Thank you.
Yeah,
and for everyone in the chat, please, we would really appreciate your feedback. So I'm just putting the link to the feedback survey there again. Tag us on Facebook and Instagram when you post your art or what you've made during the demos and mini workshops. Even pictures during the session with the hashtag Etchr Mini Workshop, and we will be giving away a monthly $50 art voucher. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, turn on the notifications so that you know when we go live again. And don't forget to sign up for Catherine's mini workshop if you are still interested in learning more about what she can do, and especially learning about how to paint flowers in 10 brush strokes.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It was so much fun painting with you guys. Great experience.
Thank you, Cathrin. And a lot of people in the chat are saying thank you. They've loved it. They look forward to the 18th for the mini workshop.
Yeah, I'm still looking forward. So have a nice day, everybody, and see you soon, hopefully.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Bye.
See ya.
See you, Anya.
Okay.